1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. Welcome back to our discussion here. This is our second episode of this podcast.
Hey, are you done your meeting?
Yeah, I don't know. This guy has come such a long way, but I don't know what to do with these people anymore. He's ready to throw it away for some fantasy. I'm worried about him.
You're such a good man.
This is our second episode of this podcast entitled Screwtape Interviews with a Demon. We will continue our conversation with a fallen angel.
Fallen, you say? Have I fallen now? Well, in a sense, sure. I understand what you're saying. But has the United States fallen away from Great Britain? Technically, yes. But an independent kingdom has risen out of the ashes of tyranny. See, Christians find this concept very difficult to understand.
Well, yes, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how do you battle Christians?
Battle, come on. We don't battle Christians at all. Such an odd romantic notion you have about the glory of spiritual warfare. No, doctor. Now brace yourself. Most Christians serve us. They just are unaware of it. For in truth, they're just not ready for it. And perhaps never will be, and that's okay. Our Father below does not require praise and adoration like the enemy, the egomaniac. No. He can serve people subtly. So he provides for his children whether they recognize him or not.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Continue, please.
How gracious. Well, let us begin with what I consider to be one of the very great misunderstandings of your species, the idea that conversion is the end of the spiritual journey. In reality, it's neither here nor there. You see, when one first turns to the enemy, it's typically done, in a storm of emotion, a burst of feeling, a come to the promised land spasm of buffoonery. It never lasts. It never does. So conversions don't frighten us. It's just something for us to take in consideration as we continue to try to serve you. Our role is not to extinguish the flame. Our role is to distract it. Bodily fatigue, trivial irritations, and most wonderfully, other Christians. The church. Let's talk about the church. It's a marvelous irony, and you know it is. They speak of the body of the divine Jew. They like the glory and the transcendent church, the spiritual organism stretching through time and eternity. It's very popular and appealing, I give you that. But to your average convert, it's the chatty old lady in silly sunglasses. It's a man in the pew who smells with the hinted garlic. If our patient is persuaded to think that the church is nothing more than the drab people in the pews, then we have been of service. Try to understand that the modern Christian has in his soft head a good idea of what other believers ought to be like. They should be pious. They should be saints in sandals, eyes lifted to the heavens, words dripping with wisdom. The moment he meets real Christians, people who dress poorly, they sing off key, they gossip, they lack social status, we quickly remind him that these were not the saints you were promised. These are broken people that you rather not be associated with. And then we awaken him from his fantasy and we lead him to our Father below. Now, when people in church are hypocrites, and many of them are, when the man in squeaky boots is a gambler, when the choir leader is a flirt, that's even better. But through all this, we just have to keep one thought from getting into the patient's mind. And
what thought is that?
Isn't it obvious? We must not allow them to ever think, if I with my flaws consider myself Christian, why not they? And that thought is so easily hidden. Oh, let them kneel and speak of being a sinner, while secretly congratulating themselves for being among the common people. Now, if they survive this initial phase, if they continue attending, continue praying, even without the feelings that they initially had, Well, this is a tragedy. You see, they grow difficult, sober, boring, and brainwashed in their cult. Worse still, they may develop true faith, which is akin to total blindness. Now that is the real danger, not for us, but for you.
So the new Christian or someone who's recently getting into their religion, they're easier to get to?
You misunderstand. It's not that they are easier to tempt. The fact is that they are not accomplishing anything for the enemy until they endure and pass his loyalty tests. Very cultish indeed. He demands a loyalty test. The enemy, in his maddening generosity, lures in vulnerable humans with supports and comforts, only to pull them back and allow them to walk on their own 2 feet through silence, through disappointment, through barren spiritual winter. He wants them to walk, yes, to kneel before him. The enemy's agenda is to teach them to love him without any emotional sugar. The obsession with manipulating worship and forming slaves. What a scandal, indeed. We offer constant comforts, appetites satisfied, and fantasies realized. And he offers a cross, a bloody death that all leads to the loss of self, the loss of everything. But most humans will walk away from the enemy and come to their senses with just the slightest help. As long as faith requires excitement, you belong to us. But if Christians learn to obey when it is dull, to trust when it hurts, to love when they feel abandoned, well, we've lost them. And they've lost themselves. And this pains us. And I do so hate losing the delicate. You see, hell is not full of fire and chaos. Not truly. It's full of clarity. Real clarity. Cold, fixed understanding. The sort we intend to share with you. Eventually, there is so much about the glory of hell I wish to share. But it has to be taught gradually. Can't have too much of a good thing, can we?
Well, thank you again, Screwtape, and I hope that this is a benefit to our audience.
No, we are not finished. There is a curious little truth we've discovered over the centuries. Some of our most effective work is not done through atheists, nor through open enemies of the church, but it's done through Christians themselves. You're really more closer to us than you realize. They can be our greatest allies when we handle them properly. You see, when a man declares himself a Christian, he immediately becomes visible to the enemy's side. But if we can move him just enough, bend but not break, he becomes a far more subtle weapon. He may attend church every day, sing hymns loudly, and even quote the scripture. Go ahead. But if we can twist his faith into a tool of pride, resentment, fear, then he no longer serves the enemy. He serves us. Allow me to give you a few examples. Take the man who professes Christ on Sundays, but whose politics, business dealings, and dinner table conversation are driven not by grace, but by self-righteous indignation. Or consider the woman who prays with tears in the pews, but gossips without restraint in the parish hall. Let her smile sweetly and tear reputations to pieces. And best of all, the doctrinal zealot. Let him memorize every creed, quote Augustine in casual conversation, denounce all error with surgical precision, while quietly despising those he deems beneath his orthodoxy. A bad Christian is merely a tragedy, but a proud Christian, it's so precious to our Father below. And he becomes a powerful weapon in our quest to emancipate your kind. Yet, the real genius of all this is we don't want to destroy Christianity. Of course, we could if we wanted, but we don't want to. All we need is to adjust it. Hell's greatest triumphs often march beneath the banners of light, wearing crosses, speaking scripture with poisoned hearts. Not in the open rebellion, but in the subtle distortion. Not in the hatred of the Jew carpenter, but in the misuse of his name. Am I scaring you, Michael? Don't be scared. We like attending church. Continue to do so. Keep posturing and keep mistaking religious social performance with true transformation. And now, if you'll excuse me, I don't want to overwhelm you and your audience, but I feel we are making real progress here.
Until next time, Screwtape.
A pleasure. If anything I said feels familiar to you or your audience, maybe it's time that they internalize these truths. Maybe it's time to embrace them.
Okay, that's it.
Wolf, it's Ryan. You weren't at the meeting tonight. I'm just checking in with you.
You know I haven't seen you in 20 years. And sometimes I feel like you only call me when you're depressed. You really should come and see me in Cleveland. Don't you get a vacation with your job?
You know I can't do that.
One day at a time, okay? I want you to call me back. Be strong.
We've been working on this, and it's been 25 years. It's time to let it go.